Hey everybody, it's Russell from What Drives Us. I'm sitting in, let me change that. I am comfortably ensconced in the Prototype 2021 Venza Hybrid. And I'm going to tell you all about it. Starting in 3, 2, 1, now. So why does Toyota bring back the Venza? That's a fair question, and you know what? I don't know why. Other than it's a form factor that maybe they thought would be popular in a hybrid format. And going along with Toyota's goal to electrify their fleet, and that means either hybrid, plug-in hybrid, or EV, along with their goal to electrify their fleet, they couldn't roll out an ICE Venza. I mean, they could, but obviously that would be a little silly. So they roll out the hybrid Venza. You know, as far as the HSD in this, that's hybrid synergy drive. For those of you that aren't familiar with Toyota nomenclature, that's the hybrid powertrain. It is the same 2.5-liter Atkins cycle engine that is featured throughout Toyota's hybrid synergy drive line. Super efficient, super flexible, and the addition of all-wheel drive in the Venza gives them the chance to boost the performance a little bit because it's a larger vehicle, it's a heavier vehicle. So by goosing the electric performance, they make it a higher performing vehicle without having to put a larger internal combustion motor in it, right? Everybody with me so far? Super easy. It's nothing that you couldn't have gleaned from reading the brochure, but why read a brochure when you can listen to me ramble? Comparisons are easy to make, and lots of people do it. It's easy to say this is like this, but not like this. It's better than this, but not as good as this. That kind of thing. It's those are very simple things to make. The last Toyota that I drove most recently was the prototype of the RAV4 Prime, the plug-in hybrid version of the RAV4, a smaller SUV form factor with a different HSD system in it because it's a plug-in. So, why is that important? Why is that worth bringing up? Well, smaller vehicle, a little bit lighter, and definitely tuned for performance. Toyota's played up in a very large way, and I certainly played it up as well, how exhilarating the performance in the RAV4 Prime can be. That does not describe the performance in this car, but don't get me wrong, this car gets up and goes. It's fine. It is not, in my opinion, underpowered. Now, there's lots of people, I'm sure, that would love something with a lot more vroom and a lot more get up and go, a V6 or a V8 or God knows what, but that's not the point that Toyota's trying to make. What they're trying to do with this vehicle is show you that you can get a larger vehicle in a hybrid, get great performance, MPG-wise, and still have fun driving it. And I think, at least I feel that way right now, they've done that with this car. It drives really well. I mean, you know, it gets up and goes on the freeway. It doesn't really, you know, it's not super limited in the top end or off the line. Again, because it's all-wheel drive, it uses electric motors in the back at takeoff, which certainly helps make it feel a little spunkier. I don't have pricing for the Venza, so I don't know, because it's still a prototype stage. They haven't rolled out all the final production stuff yet. I expect that this is a final production prototype, that what I'm driving here is going to resemble almost exactly what's going to come off the line. But what I'm saying is they haven't decided on the specs and the pricing and all that. So I don't know how much this costs. I can't give you a value proposition. I can tell you MPG though. I got between 28 and 40 MPG in this vehicle. For a vehicle of this size, I think that's pretty good. It drives like a little bit bigger vehicle. It's not quite as agile as the RAV4. Again, larger vehicle. To get a very, very comfortable, nicely appointed SUV and get 40 mpg, that's good. So what's the difference between the 28 to 40? The 28 to 40 is tooling around town, making short trips that aren't super efficient in any vehicle, and horse racing it, just giving it gas to see what it'll do. How does it perform? And that's what I've been doing. So, and that's why my numbers go between 28 and 40. What are you going to get? I am sure that if you are a careful driver and you are attentive, you could probably get at least 40, maybe a little more. My friend Tony Schaefer could probably get 45 or 50 out of it. If you're not, and you're not paying attention, and you're taking lots of short little in-town trips, and you're giving it lots of gas, 28 is probably what you're going to get. 28 in this vehicle is still respectable. Not bad at all. I'm in the XLE trim. That is the lower trim. The XSE is the high-end trim. I don't have a heads-up display. I noticed there's no sunroof here. I don't know if that's available because, again, the specs aren't out for this vehicle. I don't know if that's available, but I suspect it might be, and that would certainly change the interior experience. Otherwise, this is nicely appointed. It's nicely done. The stitching on the doors and on the dash is beautiful and even. The wrap around it is very, very well done. The plastic is textured or multi-layer. It's nice. The widescreen display in the middle of the dash is very nice as well, and it's a touch screen. It has sport modes. It has built-in key wireless charging, multiple USB outlets as well. It really has everything you want, and that's the lower trim. It's comfortable. The seats are nice, and the back seats aren't bad. There's certainly a lot of room in the hatch area in the far back. Electric hatch, which is kind of spiffy. All in all, it's kind of a swanky little hybrid SUV. Go Venza Hybrid. It seems to me like the Venza isn't very quiet. There seems to be a decent amount of road noise. It's not bad, it's not annoying, but I think one of the things that sets apart luxury cars, I hate to say that word because it's almost, but the better vehicles is, of course, a quiet interior. I think it all starts with a quiet interior. It's always nice to have a great big loud stereo that you can drown stuff out with, but that's not the best solution. You just don't want it to be louder. You want it to be pleasant. So if you start with a quiet environment, then the stereo sounds great no matter what the volume is, right? It's kind of a circuitous way of expressing that. I have a Jbl Sound System in here. Again, I'm not having access to all the specs. I'm not sure where this falls, if it's the best or the worst or the middle. Usually the JBL branded stuff is a little bit better. It's nice. It's a little boomy. I think the bass is a little, that kind of boomy bass doesn't do much for me. But it's certainly a very popular way of doing it. It also, you have to kind of tweak it before I think the sound is balanced between the front and the back. That's a common thing, although I think most people don't even really think about that. With these multi-speaker systems in a larger vehicle, you don't necessarily want everything to sound like it's coming from up in the front display. And I had to kind of do some serious tweaking before I got it to a point where I thought it was okay. I just passed a Trd Camry. That's kind of a badass looking car. I feel silly saying that. I haven't had a chance to drive it for review yet, but it's a nice looking car, actually. Who would have thought? Grandma's car goes TRD, right? Well, Wasn't Grandma driving it, believe me. Anyway, Camry TRD. The center stack, which is the widescreen touchscreen display and the capacitance, the touch-sensitive controls below it. I really don't know what to say anymore. It feels like this is something that everybody fails at. I'm not saying every car from every company. I'm just saying every company, most models. It's hard to do. And apparently, you know, you've got conflicting goals, right? They want you to up the features so that you're buying things from them and spending more and giving them more margin. And so they're not going to sell you either a stripped down version where you can add your own stuff. They want you to load it on at the factory. I hate the touch sensitive controls for the volume on the radio and the temperature. It feels like you're always touching them more than once to get it to do one thing. The feedback of a knob or a switch is something you can reach down, you know where the switch is, you adjust it, and you don't have to take your eyes from the road. There's nothing. It's flat, black, shiny plastic. And if you don't hit it exactly right, nothing happens. And sometimes when you hit it exactly right, nothing happens. The duplication of the HVAC controls and the main display controls and the touchscreen is weird to me. I get it. Maybe, I don't know. You know what? The truth is I don't get it. It seems like it's okay. No matter what, someone's going to complain. And that's what I get. No matter what, someone's going to complain. I'm just here saying that I don't necessarily need two sets of HVAC controls. I'm fine either working it through the touchscreen or working it through buttons. And if it's in the touchscreen, I guess you can include it, right? It's there, it's whatever, it's no big deal, but it's just taking up real estate for nothing. Now, you can set up the display so that it doesn't have, for instance, HVAC. That's fine too. So it's not taking up real estate, but it's still duplication. I don't know. I think a nice combination of real hard buttons and switches and levers and a nice, well-designed touchscreen with a good user interface, that's what will make people happy. And that's why a lot of people aren't happy with these things, because a lot of times it's not super clear what's going on. When you touch a control, where do you look on the display to see that you've adjusted something? Right? It's a no-win situation, and I get it, but I got to give you my opinion on it. I have a call into Toyota. I need to try and figure this out, one of the engineers, but so I just drove the RAV4 Prime that had a brand new version of the safety suite, and I believe this has the same one, but some of the features, some of the ADAS features don't feel exactly the same. And it's not unusual for any company, but Toyota, to incorporate some updated features with some other not as updated features. Everybody does it. It's not so much a money-saving thing as it is where they are in production planning and engineering and how they assemble the package that they're going to release. So it's not a strike against it per se, but I have to say I was really impressed with all of the safety suite features in the RAV4 Prime. I'm not as impressed in this vehicle, and maybe it's because one of the features is older, maybe it's just the size of the vehicle or the sensors, I don't know, but there it is. Other gripes, and you know what, the dash display, the cluster behind the steering wheel, not talking about the centrally mounted touchscreen, display screen. The dash cluster is Toyota's standard kind of conglomeration of analog gauges and digital gauges. And they've done this in Camry Hybrid. It's better done in the RAV4 Prime. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't think, like, for instance, the efficiency gauge is a large gauge with a big blue needle that swings between charge and echo and power. I just, honestly, just get rid of it. It's pointless. It helps balance out the analog speedometer. Just get rid of it. Put the digital display in there. Make that display bigger. The central digital display is nice, and you can put a lot of information on there. Obviously, it's customizable. Maybe it could be a little more customizable, but overall, the central display is nice. It's the two analog displays that, you know, again, no matter what, somebody's going to hate it, somebody's going to like it. I'm the guy right now hating on it. You might love it. I'm often wrong. You can quote me on that. I'll say this on the freeway. Again, about 40 mpg, a little bit either way. I'm in cruise control. I'm doing 10 over the speed limit. Ooh, did I say it out loud? Of course I'm doing the speed limit. Yeah. The MPG is good, and you know what? It's a comfortable car. This would be a great road trip car. The seats are big and well padded and comfortable. You can kind of sink back in them. This would be a nice road trip vehicle. We talked about MPG performance, and we talked a little bit about power performance. How does it accelerate well? And I want to reiterate that I think it does. I think it's adequate for this vehicle, and I don't mean, that's not damning by faint praise. I mean, I think it's satisfactory. It is well tuned to what this vehicle is. I want to talk not just about performance, but about driving and handling. The steering in this car is a little mushy. It feels a little soft. Not unusual in a modern car, not unusual in a modern hybrid vehicle. I don't think it's bad, but I think it's worth mentioning. You know, this is, they're not making this car to sell to weightlifters who want manual steering. You know, I want to feel everything on the road. They were selling this car to people who are buying it as a luxury hauler, whether it's humans or equipment or whatever it is. So I think soft is probably, again, appropriate. Like the acceleration in the car, I think it's appropriate for the vehicle. It handles well. It takes curves nicely. It doesn't feel like it's going to flap over, that it's so top heavy. The wheels look nice too. That doesn't hurt either. Exterior wise, you know, I don't usually spend a lot of time on that because it's really easy to find nice photos of the exterior of vehicles. It's really easy to walk to a dealer and look at the outside of a vehicle, and it's so subjective. You know, I can talk about the quality and execution of an interior, but the exterior, it's Toyota. It's very well done. Does it meet your tastes? I don't know. There's a little multi-layer plastic thing, trim piece in the front that I don't think looks very good. But I know that Toyota probably thinks it does. It looks fancy. It doesn't strike me as fancy. Overall, though, for this size and shape of vehicle, I think the Venza looks pretty good. From the front, it looks nice. From the back and the sides, it's a nice looking vehicle. Your mileage may vary, and that's okay. You can see, and it's hard because, again, this is a late production. My assumption is a late production prototype. So there's some things that are oddly missing. And part of that, I think, is just, again, that late production prototype thing. But you can see some of the new design features that Toyota's incorporating. Little kind of a matte chrome trim on the end of the window switches and things like that that are designed to make it look a little bit nicer. And they do. It works in this vehicle. Absolutely works. So little things that they've brought over from Lexus over the years, like driver memory. There's 2 driver memories that will adjust the seat and steering wheel automatically for you. That's certainly handy if you have 2 people that share a vehicle. If not, it's absolutely worthless. Well, maybe not worthless, but mostly. But overall, design-wise, aesthetically, it does look nice. Like I said, I think there's a few things that I disagree with, but it's really nitpicking, you know? If you get to that point, you want to buy the car, you're just not really sure how bad or how much you're willing to pay. Like I said, they did a nice job. The dash design is very clean. It's expansive. It kind of feels big. It feels bigger than it probably is, which is nice. You don't necessarily want a really tight cockpit. I mean, maybe you do. I don't.